right, so next I can also share my screen and kind of talk a little bit about the camps that are available for your campers this year. We have residential camps that are in the hostel that was pictured in the video. And we also have day camps that run from 8:30 to 4 Monday through Friday. So I'm going to put it right in the chat. I have a couple of documents that I can share with you. So if you are still on the fence on what kinds of camps would be best for your camper, I'm going to put those right into the chat in just a second. If you're already registered for camp, at this point, if you have any questions about specifics, we can do some question and answer. Also, we can talk about what check-in can look like as well. I'm just looking for that document that I have. Any questions coming up in the chat? Oh, yes.
There was a question about whether that YouTube video would be available to watch later, and absolutely, we will be posting that on our website.
Yes, I apologize if it was kind of buffering. I thought that was going to be the best way to do it, and it turns out that's not the case. But okay, so I just so the first one is called Copy of Project Oceanology Day Camps. And so our 2 day camps are the Ocean Explorer Academy and Undersea Technology Camp. So since I'm oh, sure, check-in and dismissal. So since I was sort of segueing into the day camp, we'll do that first. So we are going to do check-in from vehicles for day camps. So there will be signage on campus on Monday morning, and it'll likely stay up for the week, but weather pending. But we'll have signage for day camps to pull up through sort of a traffic circle that's in front of Project Oceanology, and you'll pull up past the building, making sure there's a small road that leads to the waterfront. We might want to make sure our cars don't block that as we do the check-in. But from the vehicles, we can come and greet you, and we're going to do a brief, pre-camp screening questions, just sort of, how are you feeling today? Have you experienced any of these in the past 24 hours? Is there anything that we should know, anything that's changed since yesterday, stuff like that. So we'll do that every single morning, just doing a sort of health check. And then the kids can hop out of the car once they've answered those questions, and off to camp they'll go. At 4 o'clock, when camp dismisses, the line will reform. But we ask that you don't drive away with your camper until the instructor has had a chance to verify that the person picking up is actually on the approved driver list. We always want to make sure that we have eyes on you before a camper leaves our care. For residential camp, oh, Callie, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to add that you would have your driver's license available too, so we could double check that against our transportation list. So we just ask you to hold that up so we could confirm.
Yeah, so the reason to do all of this from the vehicle is we're not having anybody get out of the car if they're not feeling well. They're staying in the car and not getting closer to other campers. And for pick up and drop off, it also prevents the need or limits the need for anyone to enter our building that isn't absolutely necessary. So we're limiting the number of people coming into our spaces as well. For our residential camp, it's going to be a little bit different. We're having 2 cohorts for residential camp. And as pictured in the video, we are going to have them separated by floor of the hostel. So one camp is going to have a dedicated floor of the room, separated by our college interns. And we also have a residential supervisor in charge of the entire hostel. So they'll have their own floor, they'll have their own bathrooms that only they use. No one else will be in that space except the custodian who cleans the restrooms daily. And so they'll be in their own space, they'll have their own dining areas, their own classrooms, their own play areas, the works, right down to almost their own research vessel, not quite, but we can keep them totally separate and they'll never even have to cross paths. So while they are kept separate, that means that we're going to actually stagger our start times for check-in on Sunday evening. So one cohort will be assigned a 3 o'clock start on Sunday afternoon, and the other will be assigned a 4 o'clock start. And we're going to send out which cohort your camper will belong to the week before camp starts. That allows us to kind of figure out room arrangements so that we can, put people who are good friends and want to be bunking together. It also can spread out the campers a little more evenly across the floor. So we'll send that information out the week before. And when you arrive, we're going to have you guys park in parking lot D on the Avery Point campus. And this information will also come out in that email with a map describing exactly what you should do. But after parking, we'll have you come to the dedicated entrance for your cohort. And we're going to have everybody do some check-in activities outside. So with the residential camp, you're turning the kid over to us for a whole week. So we have a little bit more paperwork. And so we want to make sure all of that paperwork is in order before you leave. And we also have to make sure we establish a safe way to exchange if there's a medication drop off. So many students need to take medications during the week. So we want to make sure that we accept those in the correct condition and that we understand perfectly how those medications are intended to be taken during the week. So all of that is actually going to happen outdoors underneath tents. So we're hoping that we have dry Sundays all summer long. No rain on Sundays, please. But we also have some pop-up tents, so we can do as much of that outside as possible. There will be a short camp meeting of the camp director and some parents, and we can just have a quick chat about any final concerns before we send your campers off to go do their evening activities. And then if you want to interact with your child during the week, we actually don't allow them to bring their cell phones to camp, but you can send them an email postcard every day. Multiple times a day, we actually hand out the email postcards at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then they can call in the evenings too if they want to chat with you. Check out on Friday afternoon is also staggered, 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock respectively. So the same cohort start times and end times would be the same. And for check out, once again, we would want you to park your car and come and collect your camper. And then it's more fun anyway, because you can have the sort of reunion hugs. So I hope that answered the question. We will have a detailed rundown of this. We are currently creating our camper handbook. So you have all of that information in one place.
We have some additional questions about the cohorts and room capacity and campers of different genders and how we're sorting that out.
Great. So let's see. Each cohort is 16 kids. And so that kind of matches with our capacity with the rooms. We have 4 college interns. We have 2 men and 2 women who will be our college interns. The cohorts, as of now, we are not separating them by gender, but on the floor, the rooms will be separated. The college interns have the center room, and so everything to the right of the college interns will be one gender, and then to the left will be the other. So they have their own, boys' room and girls' room, and then restrooms, and then there are also rooms on either side. So, it's not just a girls' camp and a boys' camp. The size of the room, we can have up to 4 together. It depends on enrollment. Whenever possible, we will keep the numbers lower than that. But if the camp fails, it could be as many as 4. The state of Connecticut Department of Health and the regulations required for early childhood and daycare centers and stuff require that the beds be 6 feet apart, and that the children sleep on the bunks with their head to foot, I guess, or head to toe, so that their breathing spaces are also separated. So we are abiding by the regulations set out by the state of Connecticut.
And we also, we can pause here to take more questions about that system. There is a question also asking if you can provide an overview of the daily schedule, and that may come as we describe the individual camps.
I just saw Diane's question just pop up. Pickup is on Friday. So residential camp runs Sunday afternoon to Friday afternoon. Day camp goes Monday through Friday. I believe actually in our camper handbook, there is sort of a rundown. Actually, there might even be a description on our overnight camp. Oh, no, it's not. Darn. In past years, we had a description of our camp. But I can provide that for you. I know we have that in writing somewhere, and I believe that's a part of the camp handbook. And so that'll be coming out as well.
We have a question about the end of the residential camp. In the past, we've had a ceremony where we show a slideshow and give certificates. So can you talk about how that might be modified this year?
So we did certificates last year with our day version of Ocean Camp. We still intend to have a certificate ceremony, but it'll be just among the campers. If parents are interested in participating in a virtual way, we'd be happy to do that. Oh, Leslie just provided to me the document I was looking for. So thanks, Leslie. I'll put that in the chat in just a second. But we normally would have the parents be able to participate in our certificate ceremony, so we can do that virtually this year. Our other residential camp, the Marine Science Research Experience camp, those students will be presenting their research in a video format. So we'll be able to film them presenting that thing, and then we'll be able to share a more polished version of that, in addition to a live version if parents want to participate in a live way. So they, for those of you who don't know, the Marine Science Research Camp, those students develop and work through an entire research project in just 5.5 short days. And so then they present the results of their research on the final day of camp. Okay, great.
Couple more questions.
Someone else want to post that, or shall I? Great question, Erin. All staff members, including the interns, do have to go through a background check to work with children in the state of Connecticut. We all have the more rigorous fingerprinting included level of background checks. In fact, all of us have completed training about mandated reporters, and we also conduct training, in-house training about how to be more inclusive with different types of campers. So we're really proud of what we're able to provide as a camp setting. Mm-hmm. For cell phone use, we will actually, if you feel you have to send a cell phone to camp, the camp counselors will keep that locked away in a secure location. When we're thinking about emergencies at camp, we definitely want the responsibility to be with the camp counselors and the camp directors. We've had, before the camp cell phone rule was enacted, there have been instances where, for example, students were calling home and we were unaware of those calls. So any kind of emergency, I want to come through the camp director so that we can handle the situation with the student because we're actually with them. So if you have an emergency and you need to reach us, you can call our main number, and the camp directors usually provide a secondary way for you to reach us. So any emergency should come through the camp counselors or directors. I'm watching the chat here as well. Gary, yes, students do need to bring their own bedding. We sort of staged that hostel room so you could kind of get a view of what it would look like. Thanks, Leslie. What it would look like at camp with bedding on there, but we do not provide bedding. So blankets, or if you don't have, they're twin, they're not extra long twin, they're just twin. Or if you want to bring just a sleeping bag and a pillow, that works too. So they sleep on those bunks. They're not so bad. They're not really all that uncomfortable. They're pretty good. So Leslie just posted in the chat a typical day at residential camp. So that kind of describes what we do. Breakfast is served in our cafeteria space for one cohort, and then the other cohort will be dining in our classroom that's upstairs away from them. So we have enough space so that all of them can sit 6 feet apart when they're dining, because they can't be wearing their masks while they eat. So they will be spread out during that time. Residential camp gets their food from Yukon Dining Services, and they prepare it in a kitchen off-site, so they are not entering our building at any point. They can prepare the food in a kitchen that's just on the other side of campus, and then they deliver it to our building for the Project O instructors to distribute to the campers. So because of this nature of delivery, everything is going to be sort of contained, and so there will be no food service or food handling or anything by Project O educators. It will be completely packaged when it reaches the campers. And that just keeps everybody safer.
I think I'm not, oh, one more question about, a couple more questions. Do campers get to choose what they eat, following up on the meal question?
There will be an opportunity, I think, once a week we take sandwich orders, but we have a set menu that we are currently working through with Yukon Dining Services. We have lots of a variety of different food needs that we can meet. The kitchen that they operate in does not contain any nuts of any variety. They just do not allow those into the kitchen. But we have vegan options, gluten-free options, and just about every allergy you can think of. So if there is a food concern there, we can definitely deal with that. Oh yes, we can accommodate vegans. We have vegetarian and vegan. So if you know, you're the type of vegetarian that likes cheese, you know, you can get cheese on your veggie burger, or if that's something that's right out, you know, vegan options are also available. Snacks, absolutely. We provide some snacks, but we would encourage families to send snacks. We don't allow them in the bunk rooms though, because that invites vermin. So we'll keep those kind of tucked away. And, you know, obviously the campers will have access to them anytime they want, just we don't allow it in the beds.
Okay,
I think I saw something about,
we have a couple vaccination and COVID testing questions. So this might be a good time to address that issue, which I know everybody's thinking about.
yeah, I'm sure. So right now we are very carefully working with our camp physician and the Ledgelight Health District to develop a more detailed plan. But at this point, we expect that campers will need to have a negative COVID test 72 hours before camp or a vaccination card. So those are what we expect to be the final call, but again, we are still developing the final wording of that. So those that are vaccinated, we are going to opt for, I cannot guarantee that every camper is going to be vaccinated by the time they arrive at camp. I know that right now in Connecticut, those that are 16 and older are able to get it, which actually encompasses, I think, something like 4 or 5 weeks of our camp, but it's not all of them. So, and we do have campers who are coming from out of state, and so access might be slightly different in different states. So our option, our preference is to go with the safer than necessary route. So even if they are vaccinated, even if they have tested negative and everybody is kind of living in that bubble, we are still going to practice social distancing and masking. And good hygiene. We're going to be doing lots of hand washing and surface cleaning as well.
And our camp is also, we do a lot of it outdoors whenever we can, because that allows us to be safer in general and less worried about sharing confined spaces.
Yes, we know about, you know, the mask breaks that have been happening at schools this year, and we fully expect to have plenty of mask breaks built in for students. So the current recommendation from the camp governing bodies in the state does indicate that masks still do need to be worn even when outdoors. But like I said, mask breaks can be built in. So if we are, for example, aboard one of the EnviroLabs, there is a very limited amount of space that we can occupy. You can only really go to the edges of the boat. And it's great circulation of air in there, but we will be wearing masks if you can't be fully 6 feet apart, and mask breaks will be allowed. Evening activities would depend on the camp, but for Ocean Camp, we're often in the labs after dark, our laboratory spaces, and so we'll be either interacting with live animals, working on a project. Each of the Ocean Camp's age groups have a different project that they work towards. So for example, the high school group, they build boats out of cardboard that we then take out to Pine Island just off the coast of Avery Point, and we race them on Friday morning to see whose boat is seaworthy and whose is the fastest. The middle school age group will actually learn about what it takes to survive in the ocean and be studying sort of how the abiotic factors align with the needs of the biotic factors in Long Island Sound. So they will maintain aquaria during the week and make sure that the water quality in the tank is maintained. And we also learn a little bit about predator and prey, and you can't put that blue crab in with the minnows. And then our lower middle school, upper elementary group will be doing, they design in animals. We're really focusing on adaptations and how adaptations are useful within a habitat and within the food web. At this point, we do not allow our campers to go swimming in the pool and the sailboats, I wish. The sailboats belong to the university, so we do not have access to those. But I do promise that your camper will be on a boat at least once a day, just not one of the sailboats. So yeah, there's also built-in free time for residential campers as well. So if there's a little downtime, a lot of times we'll just pull out a kickball and we'll be playing out on the lawn, or a Frisbee. A lot of girls last summer really got into the embroidery floss bracelets. You know, they all knew the different knots. I don't, but they did. So there was a lot of, there is some downtime and some, you know, bonding time for the campers as well. It's not all science all the time. Let's see, I want to make sure I didn't miss any of the questions. Oh, that's another thing that's in the camper handbook. I will also find out, I think, Leslie, maybe you also have the list of things to pack for overnight camp. You definitely want bedding, bathing suits. You want probably at least 2 bath towels and 2 beach towels, so they have time to dry in between uses. We do go swimming, but we don't, it's not swimming in the way that most people would consider it swimming. Regardless of their swimming level, our campers always wear life jackets when they're in the water. The 4 camp directors are all lifeguards. So we are certified in waterfront and lifeguarding, but regardless, we are in low energy water. Campers wear life jackets as well. So they'll have an opportunity to take a little dip, cool off, frolic in the water, catch some fish, but it's not swimming in the pool. Thank you, Leslie, you're the best. So Leslie just posted in the chat a PDF that says what you should pack for overnight camp. The one that's added to it this year is masks. If they get wet, they're completely useless. You can't breathe through them. So it's important to us that campers have enough masks that they can change it out if it gets filthy, which it will, or wet, which it will. So we're recommending 3 per day. We also have some of the surgical masks on hand if somebody has a mask crisis. Oh, can't see the PDF. Oh, we might have to change the permissions on that one, Leslie. I think maybe it's not ready to be shared. Like
packing list. Yeah, I will just add, Debbie, that packing list is available online too. We have a frequently asked questions section, and so you'll be able to access the packing list there as well.
Life jackets are provided. So we have them in any size that a camper might need. Clothing restrictions for clothes. We want to make sure that campers have a variety of footwear when they come to camp. They probably want a flip-flop for showers. They probably want a water shoe for when we are along the beach, so that we do require that campers have something on their feet at all times. Some of the beaches that we go to are frequented by fisher folk, people who might not be as responsible with their hooks as we might like. So always something on their feet, even when they're swimming. But also closed-toed shoes for when we're aboard the Envirolabs. So the research vessels sometimes have heavy equipment, so it's important that they have something that can grip the deck and protect the tops of their feet as well. Clothing, bathing suits need to be reasonably appropriate. Rain boots are optional. If you have a pair of water shoes, those are adequate too, but absolutely, Cameron, if you want to bring them, rain boots are good, especially if you're going to wade, but only to the top of the boot, and they're not so useful anymore. Let's see.
I would say for clothing, Debbie, sorry to just add on to what you were saying, a sweatshirt, sometimes the labs get chilly with the air conditioning in the evening, so definitely some kind of long sleeves or layers would be great, especially on the boat. Once in a while we're out in the, late afternoon or early evening. So it's nice to have that.
Okay. Diane is asking about two-piece bathing suits. Does anybody know the ruling on that one? No.
Two-piece bathing suits are allowed. We prefer no bikinis if that's possible, but like a tankini, a two-piece, that's totally fine.
Oh, the $5 is a one-time treat. So just once during the week. We're not actually sure which day of the week that will be right now, but a one-time treat. So $5 is plenty.
I did get a message that at least some people aren't able to see the PDFs that are being posted. We definitely will be posting all of these things right on the camp page on the website. So if for some reason you're not seeing or able to access the things posted in the chat, I expect we will have those up on the web. Some of them are already up on the website. If you go to our camp FAQs, some of them are already available. And the other things will be added, I think, in the next day or so. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, and for those of you interested in day camp, Ocean Explorer Academy, I can just speak to that a little bit if you're interested in sort of what a typical day camp day might look like. So we are just like the overnight camps out and about. We're outside as much as possible. We have different themed weeks. So some weeks are focusing on animal adaptation. So we're along the shore, we're aboard the boats, and we're using gear to see what kind of animals we can catch and collect, and then take a closer look at some of their adaptations to figure out how they're so successful. We have an engineered theme week, which is pretty awesome, where we're doing different kinds of engineering challenges. We have a cool bycatch lesson where students are coming up with their own net designs and testing those out. So a whole week of engineering themes. And then we have a whole week that's focused around habitat. So we might go out in the small boats and explore the salt marsh, or check out a sandy beach and use a seine net to see what kind of organisms are there. So as Debbie mentioned, really our goal is to be outside all day if possible, and really be on a boat as much as possible as well. So whether that's the EnviroLab and we're looking at an offshore habitat, or if we're in the skiffs and we're kind of looking at some of the more nearshore coastal habitats. For day camps, typically, because campers will be bringing their own lunches, we typically have a picnic on the beach somewhere, our habitat or our adventure of the day. We have cooler space available for lunches, so we'll roll with water jugs and coolers so everyone can refill. Sunscreen, I can't stress that enough. Make sure you pack your camper sunscreen. We'll be reminding them constantly to reapply and reapply. But yeah, that's a typical day for day camp. Usually we try to end our day with an activity back near Project O in our outdoor classroom. So we'll be ready for pickup at 4 o'clock.
And very quickly to answer Anne's question about what time lights out and what time wake up is, typical day, we're going to be waking up at 7:30 a.m. to get ready for breakfast at 8, and then lights out is by 10 p.m.
I'll talk for a minute about Undersea Technology Camp. That's our other day camp. Again, it has the same hours as OEA, but our Ocean Explorer Academy. So that's from 8:30 to 4, Monday through Friday. We have 2 different age groups, but they are very based around building your own ROV, which I don't know if anybody here knows what that stands for, but it stands for remotely operated vehicle. So it's basically a little underwater robot attached to a tether. So students will figure out how to put those together using PVC and some DC motors, and then look at them in the water and start learning about how engineers and scientists and other citizens, civil engineers, military members, use ROVs all the time. And so we'll be redesigning that ROV several times for different purposes across the week. But also using all different kinds of marine technology. So it's very research vessel heavy. We spend a lot of time aboard the EnviroLab 3 doing engineering projects, sampling using different varieties of technology. We have different sensors that we can attach to our ROVs. We've got cameras. There's a lot of different things that we can do, but it's a sort of an engineering meets science on the water camp. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, 2 different age groups, and they're filling up quick. I'm really excited. We are enhancing our fleet of ROVs this year since we can have more kids in camp. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I saw our research camp question just pop up in the chat. So I'll be the director for research camp, and students will have the ability to sort of design their own project. It won't be something that's assigned by the staff. So we'll give some options and get some experiences on that first day of camp where they can see kind of the equipment and the spaces and habitats available to us for sampling. We do have some projects that have taken place from year to year. So it's always nice when a student finds interest in something that's been done in the past. We sort of can carry that on, but if they're coming with their own ideas, we welcome that. And so we really do try to work with the students to figure out, what they're interested in and be able to make that happen. So if they have projects of their own, now's the time to start thinking, bring them to camp with you.
All right, so I saw in the chat, Karen was interested in what the daily schedule would be like. Karen, I'm just curious which camp you would like to know more about. Because if we all are out and about, but it would be helpful to know because I can kind of potentially pop one up.
We got a brief overview of some of the day camp schedule, and so it might be helpful to talk about a little more broadly about the ocean camp schedule or the residential camp schedule. Ocean camp and research camp would be pretty different, but
yeah, I actually have like a sample schedule from 2019, which was last year. We did an overnight camp, so I'm gonna just share my screen really quick. Oh, wrong screen. 1 second. All right, does that work? Okay. I was on my second screen over here. So this is what it looked like 2 years ago, just to kind of give you an idea of how we kind of break down our times. So we are currently working on kind of altering the schedule a little bit since most weeks we'll have 2 different cohorts. So they'll all be able to do the same activities. We're just going to kind of swap out days and times.
I don't know if people are going to be able to read the text on that.
Is it really tiny?
Yeah, so you might
Okay.
just talk them through a typical day.
Okay, I can do that. So like Kyle said before, we have breakfast from 8 to 9. And then almost every day we go straight out into the field. So it's either on our research vessels or we'll take some of our small skiffs over to Bluff Point State Park or potentially Pine Island, which is only, you're only able to get there if you take a boat or you swim. So we will do some different activities depending on the day. We'll collect some water samples. We'll maybe do a little scavenger hunt, or we'll search for animals in different environments. And then typically for ocean camp, we come back to the building for lunch, which is around noon most days. And then we have about an hour for that. And if they need to change or anything, like if they get wet while we're outside. Then after lunch, we do some various activities. So sometimes we'll do a few labs, or we'll visit our rocky shoreline, which is close to our building. We'll search for crabs under rocks. And then usually we'll have some time to work on our week-long projects. Debbie mentioned it before, but each age group has their own kind of project that they work on a little bit each day. And then usually we'll kind of present the projects at the end of the week. Dinner this year is going to be around 5 o'clock. So we'll have a chance for a snack time a little later on. And then normally we spend time in our labs in the afternoon or the evening. Usually once a week we have a movie night, which is always a big hit. And then That usually ends around 9 o'clock when the kids then get a chance to kind of relax, have some free time, take a shower if they want, and try to go to bed around 10, hopefully, as long as they're quiet. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm sorry you guys couldn't see my screen. I will stop sharing.
Marissa, enough people could see to notice that showers are only indicated on one of the days. But we in
Yes.
fact encourage them to shower every day.
Good. So there are, we started, this is a little bit later in the season, we started to actually allot a longer period of time for showers. So there's some students who really want to make sure they take a shower as soon as they get back from the beach. So that is why I allotted that time. But students can always wake up in the morning and take a shower before breakfast, or, you know, they can also take a shower after dinner. So we give them multiple times to take a shower and not just once a week. So I'm glad you guys mentioned that.
I saw a question in the chat about washers and dryers actually too. We unfortunately do not have a washing and drying facility on campus. There will be places for the campers to hang wet towels and bathing suits, but we just don't have a place for them to wash them at this time. Any camper that wakes up before 7:30 is asked to be respectful of the other campers who are still trying to sleep. So we'll say, you know, stay in your bunk room, you can read. If your bunkmates are already up, that's fine. You can sort of talk quietly with them or play cards or whatever you want inside your bunk room, but to be respectful of the other people and my poor intern friends who are trying to sleep. All right.
Lots of really great questions. Thank you for bringing up all these good points. Any other questions? I think we're at the end of the list in the chat. If anyone has an additional question and would like to just unmute and ask it, that would also be a perfectly good thing to do at this time.
So another thing that I thought of that I wanted to mention, all of our current camp staff is fully vaccinated with the COVID vaccine as well. So just another kind of peace of mind thing for all the camp parents out there. Something.
I know that this is on the website, but could you give a little bit of maybe like a 1-minute intro to each, I guess, I know you're not all directors, but each person who's running the camp, your background?
Definitely. I'll go first. So like I said before, I am one of the co-directors with Debbie of the Ocean Camp, which is the overnight camp. So I actually grew up as a camper at Project O. So I've been a camper at Ocean Camp myself, as well as now kind of running it, which is pretty cool. I have a bachelor's of science in marine science from the University of Connecticut, actually at the Avery Point campus. So I've been there a long time and I know it pretty well. I've also had some opportunities to work with students in more of a school setting. So I was a substitute teacher right out of college, and I was also a paraprofessional or a kind of a teacher's aide in a high school. And then I have been at Project O full time for about 6 years, I believe now. And this is my 4th summer being the Ocean Camp director. Also lifeguard certified and one of our skiff captains as well. So, Callie?
Thanks, Marissa. I've been at Project O for 14 years now, believe it or not. I can't get enough of the place. I have a degree in marine biology. I have an education degree as well. So I'm a certified teacher in Connecticut. I have a master's degree in biology and been involved in shipboard and outdoor education for most of my career. So I will be directing research camp and have had a big part in some of the day camp curriculum as well. I'll pass it over to Kyle.
Thanks, Kelly. So I will be co-directing some of the residential camps, but I will actually be kind of bopping around between a number of the camps throughout the summer. And I have a bachelor's in science in environmental science with a concentration in marine science and a minor in oceanology. And I have a little bit of a background in aquaculture and animal husbandry, and worked for the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection with the trout hatchery program. And this is going to be my third summer here at Project O.
My name's Debbie. I have a Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology and Biological Oceanography from the University of Rhode Island. I have experience with formal and informal education. I spent a couple years in the classroom and also have been working in environmental education at nature centers and Project Oceanology for 11 years. So this is actually my 5th year at Project O, and I think my 4th year as a camp director. I'm also one of the skiff captains, certified lifeguard, and I am, like, as I said before, I direct Undersea Technology Camp and I co-direct Ocean Camp as well. Molly?
Oh, I have been at Project O for 4 years. However, I am not going to be directing any camps this summer. But I have been had the pleasure of being involved with camps in previous summers, and I've had the opportunity for input in a lot of the camp curricula, and particularly research camp. Callie and I have been working together on research camp for a long time, along with many others on the staff. And yeah, it's a wonderful program. But, not too much about me because I won't be one of the direct people.
And I did just notice a question in the chat about research projects. I don't think we have student research projects listed on our website. I can give you a little flavor of some of the projects that we've done in the past. One of my favorites is the lobster study. So this is one of the ongoing research projects at Project O. We have 10 lobster traps that are set up around Avery Point. And so campers will pull those every day, and projects kind of vary depending on student interest, but we've had students take a closer look at shell disease on the lobsters that we catch. We've looked at things like bait preference over the years, what attracts more lobsters. And we've looked at things like sex ratios. Are we finding more males or females? Looking at their size, are they legal or sublegal? So lobsters have a special place in my heart. That's what my thesis was about. So that's always an interest of mine. We've had some students that have worked sort of looking at the abiotic factor. So thinking about water chemistry, not just around Long Island Sound, but up the Pequannock River. We have access to a small estuary that's along the Bluff Point State Park in Groton, if anyone's familiar with that area. So we can access that whole watershed. So looking at things like dissolved oxygen, salinity, temperature. We've had students measure coliform and nutrients. So really a wide variety of projects, whether you're interested in the biology or more of the chemistry, physical, we can do it all at Project O.
Yeah, and Callie, I'll add to that. One of the really cool things about the research projects is that there often are real world connections that we are investigating. And so we have a close relationship with the town and city of Groton, and they're always very interested in what our researchers find. So we often will be, if our students are looking at water quality, we'll typically share that data with the town or with scientists at UConn who are interested. Our long-term data sets that students help us collect are shared with scientists. And so, and if there are students who are interested in more policy and watershed conservation biology, watershed management, we can partner more directly for some of those research projects. So it's just a real neat opportunity to, and students who do the research projects with us, they know that their work is being seen by professionals and is making a difference, sometimes in decision making. So that's a really cool thing. I also want to mention, we've had a number of really cool projects in recent years focused on things like marine debris or microplastics. So we have the capability to do a lot of things like that as well.
I see Kennan's question about sharing our experiences. I know right now, like listening to the five of us, we studied marine science. Okay, we get it. Actually, I think that from a marine science perspective, actually the five of us have very different interests and strengths. So I think that is something that is kind of nice about working with multiple different backgrounds here. So I'll tell anybody who listens about where I came from and how I got here. Project O has a really good track record of creating marine scientists of the future. I forgot to mention it. Marissa said it. She was a camper and she's a marine scientist now. And I actually attended what was the research camp when I was a young person as well. So I came at that time, it was a day camp because I grew up right in Groton. So I was able to do my research project and I still remember it to this day. It was about hermit crabs in the Paquonic River. So I also see Gary's question about the email postcard. That's just kind of fun lingo for you can email, sort of a communal email address that the counselors and interns check, and we print out your email and hand it to them. Again, like some of what makes our camp so impactful is that they're not really on screens very much. We are really trying to get outside and immersive. So, they have contact with the outside world, but it's mostly about being here with the ocean and with other young people. So you can send them an email to this sort of communal email address, and we print it out and provide that to them. And if you're worried about being cut off from them, because I think that sometimes it's kind of the difficulty as well, we are going to be sharing photos with you as we take them, more or less. We probably upload them in the evening when we've got a little more free time, but we take pictures of the campers during the day and share them to a Google folder, a Google Photos album, which will be shared with you on Sunday evening. So you can kind of go in and see if you can spot your kid having some fun at Marine Science Camp. So you'll be able to kind of see what they're doing. They're probably not going to want to tell you about it, but at least you can maybe kind of put the pieces together.
I want to go back briefly to Kevin's question because so we certainly do share about our backgrounds and also our interns who are college students and a little closer in age to our campers. And I think talking to them as well about their experiences, about their current studies in college, and then their career plans can be really, really impactful because then they're interacting with scientists at several different career stages.
Another thing I wanted to mention as well, we do have kind of a camp phone, so students are allowed to call home if they would like to, or if parents ask them to call home. We definitely allow them to do that during the free times. We don't normally have them email you back, but if you specify in the email, we could schedule something during one of the free times where they could do that as well.
Hart wasn't here for the beginning. Yes, absolutely. We have a very stringent background check and training process that involves mandated reporter training, diversity training, et cetera. And that goes not just for us, but for interns and any staff that are captains, any staff that will be interacting at all with these campers goes through that training where we take very, very seriously.
All right.
I do want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'll just open it up one more time for any last questions, and I think we're going to sign off. So going once, going twice. Thank you all.
Hi, can I just interrupt quickly? I had a question that I think didn't get seen in the chat. I was just worried about kids who are sensitive to a lot of sun exposure. Like, is there places where they can get out of the sun if they need a break for a little bit?
Yes, so we do have access to our lab spaces. And if you are attending a residential camp, we will be coming back to the building midday for a meal. Aboard the boat, we actually have behind me on my virtual background, we have actually a lot of internal space aboard the boat too. So you can go inside the cabins to sort of tuck away from the sun. We also have 12 by 12 pop-up tents as well that we can kind of put up anywhere we are. We could roll with them or put them up on the grassy spaces too. So those who are sun sensitive, we can definitely make accommodations to make sure that they're not getting sunstroke or just totally fried by the sun. I know I look like a piece of bacon by the end of the day. So.
So our fans of broad brim hats.
Yes. You'll always see me wearing a hat. Some of the COVID things that are different this year are the masking, the social distancing, the cleaning protocols. We have pretty rigorous cleaning protocols, and we'll even make efforts to make sure that the camp cohorts are coming in contact only with the same even boat captains, so that, you know, we are not really crossing over and having lots of, you know, the fewer people they come in contact with, the better. So yeah, the masking, the distancing, and if you're coming to residential camp, we expect that the final ruling will be a requirement for either a negative test within 72 hours of camp or a vaccination card.
Yes, we will be having a second information session on May 25th in the evening, very similar in format. And so if you think of another question, you're welcome to come back and join us again, or email any of us directly.
Or projecto@oceanology.org.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can be found on the website. Quick
Yep,
question.
and if you missed the beginning of this or part of this for any reason, we are recording this. So this recording will be available to you as well.
A few questions. Anne is asking about the ratio of male to female campers. I can
Depends
probably,
on the week.
yeah, it depends on who registers. We do have to constrain it somewhat to make sure that we assign roommates appropriately. So there may be some weeks when, as the camps fill, where, oh, maybe we have a girl slot or a boy slot. But the broad answer is it depends on interest in the camp. What would you say in general has been the case? Maybe slightly more girls, but a pretty even mix some weeks.
I think it skews a little bit more towards girls, but
We always have a mix.
not-
Yeah.
yeah, some weeks, you know, you never know. Last summer for undersea technology, I had 1 week that was all boys and 1 week that was all girls with 1 boy or 2 boys. So, you know, it just happened to work out that way. We didn't plan it that way. I see Lou's question about the projects for marine science research. They absolutely do. They create a PowerPoint presentation. That is the option we've gone with this year, as opposed to a poster symposium. So they will present their projects and we will film their presentations. So they'll be able to show you their slideshow, but you'll also be able to see them presenting it.
And you'll be given access to that file as well, so that you can have the recording yourself.
Yeah, it's a special thing, and they get to keep their publication. You know, I still somewhere kicking around the basement have mine from 8th
Well,
grade.
we also keep them, and we have like sort of bound volumes with all the projects, and we maintain that. And so campers will have the chance to look up the projects of prior. You know, if you look hard enough, you can find Debbie's camper project in our archives and design a follow-up project to it.
Yeah.
So
Long wrist hermit
get yourself
crabs.
to the right year.
Migration patterns in the Pocono River. I think I saw one other thing and I lost track of it. Oh, never mind. It was Leslie. Yes.
All right, I'm going to try it again. Going once. Going
Thank
twice.
you so much, everyone, for coming.
Hello.
Oh, hi,
Hi.
Kirk.
Hi, Kirk. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm late. I was working. Is it the same meeting twice, or did I miss that on some stuff today?
We're just at the end of this meeting, but we did record it. And so you could view this recording, and then the meeting on the 25th will cover the same ground. We'll start with an overview and then we'll take questions. And so it'll depend on the questions, but yeah, so you could attend on the 25th or watch the recording of this. We're also posting a lot of this information on the website, or just reach out to us by email, and we can maybe talk to you on the phone and answer your questions as well.
How do you get the recording?
We are going to post it on our website, I think.
Oceanology.org.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How many kids to a dorm room? Did I miss that?
Up to
Max of 4.
max of 4, but we anticipate being able to spread them out more in many cases.
Okay.
All right, thank you everyone so much for your participation today. And we look forward to seeing you and your kids this summer at camp.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
You said it was projecto.org? Was it?
Oh, oceanology.org.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Sean,
just put
thank
it in, it's in the chat.
Thank you.
Go team. Benny says we're done. Get it. Get it.
All right, team, I think I might end this session, but we can touch base tomorrow if need be.
Sounds
but
good. I'm gonna go watch some hockey.
Nice job. That was great. Lots of great questions.
All
right.
See you guys
Bye, everyone.
tomorrow. Oh, well, I'll send you guys a message.
Great.
Bye.